Yeah. Hi guys, good morning. Online students, could you please confirm? Is my voice audible? And can you see my screen? People in Zoom, could you please confirm in the chat box? Is my voice clear for everyone? Yes, perfect. Good. Guys, in the last session, we started our discussion related to what is Maven. 1 minute. Yeah, fine. Good. So in the last session, we started our discussion related to what is Maven. So could you please tell me what is Maven and why should we go for Maven? Maven is a build tool for developing Java applications. Now, you can create a normal Java project also, but the problem with the normal Java project, whatever the dependencies are required, you need to download those dependencies manually and you need to add the dependencies to build path. Instead of we are downloading the dependencies required for the application, we can take the help of the Maven tool to download the dependencies required for the application. So there are two build tools available for developing Java applications. One is called Maven, second one is called Gradle. So currently we are working with Maven. Maven is a build tool which is developed by Apache organization. This tool is developed using Java language only. By using this Maven, you can build Java applications. Maven is free and open source software. By using this Maven, you can create a standalone application as well as you can create one web application also. Good. The next one, we are creating a Maven project by using IDE. Okay. So you can create Maven project from IDE or you can create Maven project from command line also. We created Maven project by using IDE. At the time of creating the Maven project, it will ask some information like what is the group ID, what is artifact ID, and what is your packaging type. Group ID represents which company is developing this project. You can give your company name or your company domain name as a group ID. Next one, artifact ID, that represents what is the type of the project. Okay. And the next one, packaging type. What is the meaning of packaging type? Whether you want to package your application as a jar file or war file, you can specify that. Once you create the Maven project, the folder structure will be available. So what is the meaning of pom.xml? What is pom.xml in the Maven? POM stands for Project Object Model, that is used to configure Maven dependencies. What dependencies are required for our application, we can configure by using pom.xml. Next one, here main Java. Main Java is used to develop our Java classes. What are the classes you want to develop? You can create them by using main Java. Why are you going last, man? All of you, last row, come to first row. Why are you sitting last? Come front. The last two rows. Come front. Right. Main Java is available. Main Java folder is used to create our Java code. What are the classes that we want to develop? Those classes we can create by using main Java folder. Any configuration file that is required for the application will keep in the resources folder. Unit testing code will keep in the test Java. Unit test config file will keep in the test resources. Then what is the target folder? What is the target folder here, guys? The target folder, that class files we are going to store. Next one, Maven dependencies. What are the Maven dependencies? Any dependency that you configure in the pom.xml, Maven will download those dependencies. Maven will use in our project build path, pom.xml, Maven config file. Where we can find Maven dependencies, guys? We can find our Maven dependencies by using mvnrepository.com. Very good. So yesterday we created a Maven project and we added Maven dependency also, pom.xml. If you see the pom.xml, here I have configured Spring context. Okay. When I add Spring context dependency, it downloaded Spring AOP, Spring Beans, context, core, expression, JCL. These all jar files are downloaded by Maven. Now, I want to run my application by using IOC container. So could you please tell me what is IOC container? What is IOC container, guys? IOC stands for inversion of control, that is responsible to perform dependency injection. So earlier, programmers are responsible to perform dependency injection. From now onwards, IOC container will perform dependency injection. What is the meaning of dependency injection? What is the meaning of dependency injection? Injecting one class object into another class object is called as a dependency injection. How many ways we can perform that dependency injection? We can perform dependency injection in 3 ways. What are those 3 ways? One is a constructor injection, second one is a setter injection, third one is field injection. What is the meaning of constructor injection? Injecting dependent object into target object by using target class constructor. Injecting the dependent object into target object using target class constructor is called as constructor injection. What is the meaning of setter injection? Injecting dependent object into target object by calling target class setter method is called as setter injection. What is the field injection? What is the field injection? Injecting dependent object into target object using target class variable is called as field injection. If I perform both constructor and setter for the single variable, what will happen? Constructor injection will happen first, then setter injection will happen. Setter injection will override constructor injection. Setter injection will override constructor injection. Okay, now I developed my classes. I have developed my Java classes in the project. How IOC will understand? How this IOC will understand whether our class, which class is a target class, which class is a dependent class? How IOC will know that? Can IOC recognize what is a target, what is a dependent, or IOC cannot recognize that? IOC cannot recognize directly. Then what I need to do here? What I need to do here? I need to tell to IOC which is a target class and which is dependent class. How to tell that to IOC? By using bean configuration. We are going to specify bean configuration here. With that bean configuration, IOC will understand what is a target and what is dependent. How many ways we can do that configuration? 2 ways we can do the configuration. One is by using XML. Second one is by using annotation. Okay, I'm going for XML configuration, which is outdated approach. Currently in the industry, people are not using this XML. Just to show you 1 or 2 examples. How 5-6 years back, people used to develop the project. But today in the market, people are not using this XML. This is just for idea purpose. Just for idea purpose, right? So now we created one beans configuration file. Here, what are the classes that you want to manage by IOC container? I created car class. I created my engine class. I know that car is a target, engine is a dependent. As a programmer, you need to understand what is a target class, what is a dependent class. My target is to drive the car. If I want to drive the car should start the engine. So car is dependent on the engine. So engine class is called as a dependent class and car class is called as a target class. Tomorrow in the company, in the project, nobody will tell you what is the target class, what is the dependent class. That is your responsibility to identify. When you are writing the code, that your responsibility to identify what is the target class and what is dependent class. Let's take an example. Now, I have a method in the DAO class. For example, there is a class called user DAO class is available. There is a class called user DAO class is available. Inside this user DAO, there is a method called save user method is available, which will take user object as a parameter, which will return boolean as a return type. So like this, I'm taking one user DAO class in my project. So in this user DAO, there is a method called save user method is available. Similarly, there is another class called user service class is available. User service class is available. Inside the user service, there is a method called save method. There is a method called save method is available, which will return boolean as a return type. Now, so in the project, service should call the DAO method. Service method should call the DAO method. So this is the relation. Service method should talk to DAO method. So you are going to write the logic. If you want to insert the record into the table, then you need to write a method in the DAO layer. That DAO method we will call from the service method. Then which is a target, which is a dependent. Which class is dependent on which class? Service dependent on the DAO or DAO dependent on the service? Service is dependent on the DAO. When I call the service method should call the DAO method. So here we are going to configure DAO as a dependent. DAO as a dependent. Service is a target. Okay. Service class is dependent on the DAO class. User DAO is a one Java class. User service is one Java class. My service class method should call the DAO class method. So here service will become your target. DAO will become your dependent. So if you want to execute the application, service method should call the DAO method. Then what we need to do as a programmer, we need to inject DAO object into service object. Are you getting my point? So now I need to perform dependency injection. Service requires a DAO object or DAO requires a service object? Service requires a DAO object or DAO requires a service object? Service requires a DAO object. That's why service will be called as a target. DAO will be called as a dependent. Who will tell you which is a target, which is a dependent? Will your manager tell you that this is a target, this is dependent? No. When you are writing the code, which method you want to call from which method? Which class wants to communicate with which class? Based on that, you need to decide what is your target class and what is your dependent class. Are you clear? Good. Next one. I have one more class in the project, which is user controller. There is another class called user controller class is available. In the user controller, there is a method called doPost method is available. User controller class is available. User controller class is having doPost method. Now, my controller should call the service method. Now tell me, which is a target, which is a dependent? Which is a target, which is a dependent? Now, here UI page will be available, guys. This is my UI. Assume that user interface. This is my UI. When user communicate with the UI, UI will communicate with the controller. Controller will communicate with the service. Service will communicate with the DAO. Now, what is your target? What is your dependent? What is your target? What is your dependent? I want clear explanation. Which is a target? Which is a dependent? Here we are going to call user controller as a target. User controller should call the user service. So what I need to do? I need to inject a user service object into user controller object. Are you getting my point? My controller should call the service method. That means my controller is dependent on the service. My service should call the DAO. My service is dependent on the DAO. Now observe. For user controller, user service is dependent. Are you getting my point? For you, if you see from controller side, controller is dependent on the service. So controller is called target. Service is called dependent. Excuse me. Right. So now here I have a controller class. My controller class should talk to service. My controller is called as a target. Controller is dependent on the service. So now here controller is dependent on the service. Service is dependent on the DAO. Are you clear? So when you see controller and service, controller is a target, service is a dependent. Okay. Controller is a target, service is a dependent. When you see from service side, service is the target, DAO is the dependent. So here, service is acting as a target as well as dependent. Service is the target for the DAO. Service is the dependent for the controller. Are you guys getting my point? Controller is dependent on the service. Service is dependent on the DAO. When you develop any application in the real time, same structure will be available. Same structure will be available. And let me write one more diagram. Now, I want to develop one user registration functionality. Okay. To develop user registration functionality, here I have user controller. Okay. User controller is available. Inside the controller, there is a method, doPost method. Then controller will take the request and the controller will talk to user service. Service will execute some business logic. The business logic is sending the email for the user once the registration got completed. First of all, that service will communicate with the user DAO. Service will communicate with user DAO. DAO will communicate with the database. And in order to send the email, I'm going to create one more class called email utils class. Email utils class is responsible to send the email once your registration got completed successfully. Are you getting my point? Now, here our UI page is available. User interface is available. So tomorrow, when we are going to talk about a project development, so the architecture will be available like this. User interface is available. From the UI, request will go to controller. So what is controller here? Which will handle our request. And controller will talk to service. Controller will talk to service. Now, when the user controller is available, I'm going to talk to one class called password utils class. Whatever the password you are using, that password should not be stored into database directly. Okay. Whatever the password you are using, my net banking password is available. That password should not be stored into database directly. Password should be encrypted. Password should be encrypted. To encrypt the password, there is another class called password utils class is available. After encrypting the password, then the record will be inserted to database by using DAO. So here my database is available. So here my database is available. User DAO will communicate with the database. After your record inserted into database, then I want to send an email for the user saying that congratulations, your registration got completed. Okay. So first, end user will communicate with the user interface. From user interface, request will go to controller. Let me give the numbering. From the UI, the request will go to controller. Controller will talk to service. Okay. Service will talk to password utils. What is the purpose of password utils? Encrypt the password. Before saving the record into database, we need to encrypt our password because password should not be stored in the database directly. Password should be encrypted. For that, there is a separate class called password utils class is available. After password is encrypted, service will talk to DAO to communicate with the database. DAO is going to communicate with the database. It is going to insert the record. After the record is inserted, application will send an email for the user saying that your account is created successfully. After creating the account, final response will come to the user saying that your registration completed successfully. This is the execution flow. So I want to develop one simple registration functionality. When you are developing a registration functionality in the project, the classes will be available like this. We don't write everything in the single class. We need to go for layered architecture. Multiple layers are available. Controller, service, DAO. Along with that, we have password utils class. We have email utils class. What is the purpose of password utils? Which is used to encrypt the password. What is the purpose of email utils? To send the email for the user once registration got success. Now, can you tell me what is the target? What is the dependent here? Can you identify what is the target? What is the dependent here? Come on. So now understand. If I perform dependency injection manually, is it easy? I have just taken registration functionality. In my project, 1,000 functionalities are available. I'm working on banking application. It is a very big bank in the US. A very big bank in the US. In my bank, 1,000 requirements are available. Home loan, personal loan, educational loan, mortgage, credit card, property loan, okay, student loan, and debit card, net banking, mobile banking. So like this, if you consider, there are 1,000 functionalities available in my project. Just for one functionality, user sign up. Sign up is just one functionality. For one functionality, how many classes I'm taking, guys? For one functionality, user sign up. How many classes I have taken? 5 classes I have taken. Now, 1,000 functionalities are available. 1,000 into 5, 5,000 functionalities. Creating the objects, managing the dependency injection. Is it easy? Is it easy? If you have 2-3 classes, if you have below 10 classes, then you can create the object. You can perform the dependency injection. But think about real time. Think about the real time. If you go for the real time, project may have 1,000 requirements. Project may have 2,000 requirements. When those many requirements are available, the number of classes are going to increase. When the number of classes increased, then managing the dependencies will become very, very difficult for the programmer. So that's why we are going for IOC container. What is the benefit with the IOC container? What is the benefit we are going to get with the IOC container? Come on. It will create the object for your classes. It will perform the dependency injection for your application. So classes will be loosely coupled. Dependency injection will be taken care by IOC container. Are you able to understand? Yesterday, somebody asked a question from the Zoom online student. Sir, in this application, how can we decide what is the target, what is the dependent? So client will tell you what is target, what is dependent. No, manager will tell you, team lead will tell you, nobody will tell you. You are responsible to understand your requirement. Based on your requirement, you need to develop your classes. When you are developing your classes, you need to first draw the diagram like this. Okay, what is my requirement? I want to develop one sign up functionality. In order to develop sign up functionality, what are the classes are required? Which class should communicate with which class? You need to prepare the diagram like this. Once you prepare this diagram, then you need to identify what is the target, what is dependent. Now, first, as a programmer, you need to understand what is your target class, what is your dependent class. Based on your understanding, you will give instruction to IOC container. IOC container will not do any magic. Automatically, it will identify what is target, what is dependent. You need to tell to IOC container, hey IOC, this is my target, this is my dependent. You inject this dependent into this target by using setter injection. You inject this dependent into this target by using constructor injection. That information we should give to IOC container. How many ways we can give that instruction to IOC container? By using XML or by using annotation. Are you clear? Now, look at the diagram and tell me what is the target, what is the dependent. Controller. Now, first of all, tell me which class is dependent on which class? Controller is dependent on the service. So, can I say controller is my target? Controller is dependent on the service. Now think about service. Service is dependent on three classes. Service is dependent on three classes. Service is dependent on the password utils. Service is dependent on the email utils. Service is dependent on the user DAO. What about user DAO? Will communicate with the database. Are you clear? So controller is dependent on the service. Service is dependent on the three classes. Okay. Password utils, email utils, and user DAO. Now I need to give that information to my IOC container to manage and to collaborate dependencies among the objects. IOC container will read that bean configuration file, will understand which classes it has to manage. It will create the object. It will perform the dependency injection. It will provide the spring beans. What is the meaning of a spring bean? What is the meaning of a spring bean? The Java class which is managed by IOC container. The Java class which is managed by IOC container is called as a spring bean. Are you clear with my point? Perfect. Now, based on this, now can we tell me how to work with this car up? Very basic, just one class dependent on the another class. This is very simple requirement. Going forward, we need to develop our applications like this. Going forward, we need to develop application like this. Good. Now go to our application. iEngine is available, which is a interface. For that interface, diesel engine is one implementation. Petrol engine, another implementation. Car is available. Car is dependent on the engine. So here, for car, engine is required. I'm using a interface because of loosely coupling. I developed my classes by using strategy design pattern. Why we are going for strategy design pattern? What is the benefit we will get with that? To achieve loosely coupling. Okay, now I want to execute my application. For that, I want to use IOC container. For the IOC container, I need to provide my beans information. Bean configuration file I have created. Now, in my project, there are some classes available. I want to give those classes as an input for the IOC container. By using XML, we can give that input. So how to configure the class as a bean? Bean ID. Bean ID is equal to, every bean should have unique ID. I'm giving petrol engine. ID can be anything, but it should be unique. It should be unique. Bean ID is equal to PNG. Class is equal to. So this is belongs to which class? In dot Ashok ID dot beans dot petrol engine. Fully qualified class name we need to configure. Okay, the correct package name and class name we have to provide. When I press control, keep the cursor, hyperlink is coming. That means it is a valid class, right? Similarly, I have one more class called diesel engine. Bean ID is equal to D engine. Class is equal to in dot Ashok ID dot beans dot diesel engine. Okay. Similarly, I have a car class. How to specify that? Bean ID is equal to car. Class is equal to in dot Ashok ID dot beans dot car. In dot Ashok IT dot beans dot car. So like this, I configured three bean definitions. Okay. So this is one bean definition belongs to petrol engine. This is one bean definition belongs to diesel engine. Another bean definition belongs to car. Okay. Three beans I have configured. Now I want to start my IOC container. So to start the IOC container, they provided one class for us. They provided one class. If you create the object for that class, then IOC container will start. For that IOC container, we need to provide configuration as an input. The configuration is available in the XML file. Okay, tell me how to create IOC container. How to start IOC container? Come on, fast. Application context. Application context. Context is equal to new class path XML application context. What is the input for that? Configuration file is the input. Where is our configuration file available? Inside the resources. What is the file name? spring-beans.xml. What is the file name? spring-beans.xml. I'm giving my file name as an input. So this line of code is used to start the IOC container. Once you start the IOC container, it will perform the action. What is the action it is performing? It is reading the bean definitions available in the bean.xml. Then it will load these three classes. It will create the object for the three classes. What is the proof? If a constructor is executed, then I can say object is created. Am I writing any logic here to create the object? No. Am I calling the constructor? No. Just I'm starting my IOC container. Run this application, run as Java application. Now can you see? Petrol engine constructor executed, diesel engine constructor executed, car constructor is executed. What is the meaning of that? What is the meaning of that? For the classes, objects got created. So now, can we call our Java classes as Spring Beans now? Can we call our Java classes as Spring Beans now? Yes, we can call our Java classes as Spring Beans. Tell me, what is a Spring Bean? The Java class which is managed by IOC container. The Java class, earlier our Java class lifecycle will be taken care by JVM. Object creation, object destruction will be taken care by JVM. But now our class is managing by IOC container. The Java class which is managed by IOC container is called as a Spring Bean. Is called as a Spring Bean. Now object is created. Object is created. What is the proof to say that object is created? Constructor got executed. Now I want that object. Who created object? Programmer is creating the object or IOC creating the object? IOC container creating the object. Now I want to get that object from the IOC container. I want to get that object from the IOC container. To get the object from the IOC container, context dot get bean. What is the method available, guys? Context dot get bean. Which object you want? I want car object. Okay, car dot class. I am specifying, hey IOC, I'm starting your container. You take this configuration file as an input. You read that configuration file. What are the definitions are available? You create objects for those definitions and you give me car object. Now let me get that car object, car bean. System.out.println car.hashcode. System.out.println car.hashcode. Now run this application, run as Java application. Can you see hash code is printed? So that means object is created or object is not created. Object is created. Who created that object? IOC container. How to get that object from the IOC container? Context dot get bean. What is the meaning of a context dot get bean? Get the bean object from the IOC container. So what is this line of code? It is used to start the IOC container by giving XML file as an input. So application context is equal to new class path XML application context. Who provided this application context, class path XML application context? These are the components from the Spring framework. That is nothing but using framework classes. Now, earlier we have developed normal Java project. We created only our classes. Now, our classes available, framework classes also available. How we are able to access Spring framework classes in our project? Spring jar file is available. What is a jar? It contains the dot class files, right? So Spring jar files I added to my project build path. In the Spring framework, in the Spring jar file, some classes are available. Those classes we are using to develop our project. That is called framework. What is the purpose of framework? Simple example. Simple example. Creating the object, performing the dependency injection. Is it only my project requirement? Creating the object for a class, injecting the object into another class. Is it only my project requirement or it is universal requirement? Universal requirement. That means creating the object, performing the dependency injection is every project requirement. Though it is a common logic for every project. So when it is a common logic for every project, framework will provide that. You focus only on the business logic. Common logic will be provided by framework. What is the common logic here? Creating the object, performing the dependency injection, that is a common logic. That will be taken care by Spring Framework. You write only your business logic. Are you clear? Now, so now I want to write the code once again. Tell me, I want to start IOC container. I want to get the car object. I want to call the drive method. Are you clear with my requirement? Yes, tell me. I want to start IOC container first. How to start IOC container? Application context. Application context. Context is equal to new class path XML application context. What is input for that? Suppose I'm not passing any input for that. Just I'm starting my IOC container. Run the application, run as Java application. Object created or not created? Why? Why objects are not created? IOC don't know which classes it has to manage. So I am starting IOC container, but I am not giving any input for the IOC container. Guys, I'm observing so many people are using mobiles. When I'm taking the class, people are bending their head and they're typing something. I don't know what chatting you are doing. If I see that second time, from tomorrow, mobiles are not allowed for the class. Don't make me rude. I'm giving you friendly environment. I'm expecting same thing from you also. If simple example, when I'm taking the class, if I take my mobile, and if I do chatting, how you will feel? Can you tell me? So for every 15 minutes, I will also take, I have two mobiles. I will take two mobiles and I will do chatting. I will get 100 messages for every 1 hour. I will reply to those messages in the class. Then how you will feel? How you will feel if I do the chatting in the class? Will you get any interest? Same thing for me also. If you are doing the chatting in the classroom, I'm also not getting that interest. If you do the same thing, from tomorrow, they will check. If your mobile is there, you have to keep outside. If you want to attend the class. Don't make me rude. Just maintain the friendly environment. I'm giving you the best content. You can check with any faculty in the Amirpet. They will not give you this much depth knowledge on the SpringBoot. Don't misuse that. I have seen today more than 10 people are doing the chatting in the class. More than 10 people doing the chatting in the class. They're bending their head and they're typing something. Then how you will concentrate on the class? If you want to do the chatting, then I will also do the chatting in the class. No problem. I have 2 WhatsApps. I have 2 mobiles. So many messages are unread in my WhatsApp. I can also reply to them. Just imagine that. Just give some respect. Got my point? If I see next time, I will send you out from the class. And I will not allow you. If everybody doing the same thing, from tomorrow they will check. If your mobile is there, keep it outside to come into the class. After that, if you lost your mobile, we are not responsible. Please give me proper environment. I will give you proper subject. If you disturb me, definitely I will disturb you. Please maintain that. Keep your mobiles in the pocket, all of you. Don't use that. Right. So I'm trying to explain how to start a IOC container. How to start the IOC container. So here, to start the IOC container, I'm using application context. When I start this IOC container, any object is created? Object is not created. Why the object is not created? Because I'm not giving any input for the IOC container. I'm not giving any input for the IOC container. So here, you need to give some input for the IOC container in the form of XML file or in the form of annotation. So currently we are going with the XML. What is there in that XML? What is there in that XML? Beans information is available. What is a bean? The Java class which will be managed by IOC container. Okay, where your beans are available, you need to tell to IOC container as a input. Now, my XML file is available. In that XML, my bean definitions are available. That XML file, I will give as an input for the IOC container. So my file name can be anything, guys. There is no naming convention for the file. Name can be anything. You can keep abc.xml also, right? Spring-beans.xml. I'm giving my XML file as an input for the IOC container. Right click, run as Java application. Now you see, when I give XML file as an input for the IOC container, it is reading the XML. It is checking how many beans available. There are 3 beans available. For those 3 beans, objects are created by default. This is called eager loading. This is called as eager loading. That means whenever you start the IOC container, by default it is creating the objects for your classes. Okay, IOC container will follow eager loading concept. There are 2 types available. One is eager loading, another one is lazy loading. Lazy loading nothing but whenever it is required, then only it will create the object. Whenever it is required, then only it will create the object. That is called lazy loading. But here, IOC container following lazy loading or eager loading? Eager loading. How can we say it is eager loading? I am not asking IOC to create the object. I am not asking IOC to give me the object. I am just starting my IOC container. Then it is creating the objects for all the beans which are available in the configuration file. That is called as eager loading. We can achieve lazy loading also. We can achieve lazy loading also. How to achieve lazy loading? Now, for the petrol engine, I will give scope is equal to some prototype. I'm going to specify scope is equal to prototype. Now, here for the petrol engine, I'm giving the scope is equal to prototype. For the remaining beans, I'm not giving any scope. Now, observe. Earlier, how many class objects got created? For 3 classes, objects got created. Now, I have given scope is equal to prototype. Now, run the test class, run as Java application. Now, can you see? Is it creating 3 objects or only 2 objects? Only 2 objects. Which one is missing? Petrol engine is missing. Why it is missing? Why it is missing? Scope is equal to prototype. What is the meaning of scope is equal to prototype? When you want, then only it will give the object. When you want, then only it will create the object. That means creating the object on demand basis. Creating the object on demand basis. If I don't give any scope, then IOC will follow eager loading. What is the difference between eager loading and lazy loading? What is the difference between eager loading and lazy loading? Eager loading means it will create the object for the beans when the container started. It will read the configuration file. What are the bin definitions available? Load all the beans, create the objects directly. That is called eager loading. That is default nature of the IOC container. Eager loading is the default nature of the IOC container when you go for application context. When you go for application context, IOC container will perform eager loading. Objects will be created. If I want to go for lazy loading, whenever the IOC started, don't create the object. If I want, I will ask you, then only create the object. Creating the object immediately when IOC started, or create the object when I ask for that. On demand basis, that is called lazy loading. Fine. Now, for all the beans, I want to perform eager loading only. So I'm not configuring any scope. Good. Now, IOC container will be started. Then objects will be created for all the 3 classes. IOC created the object. I want to get that object. From IOC, I want that object to call my method. Can you tell me? how to get the object from the IOC container. To get the object from the IOC container, we have context dot get bean. Which class object you want? Any class, because three classes are there. Three classes are Spring Beans now. For the three classes, object created by IOC container. Now let me get the car object. Car dot class. Car dot class. What is the return type of the get bean method? Car object. Okay. What is the proof to say that object is created? Car dot hash code. Car dot hash code. Run as Java application. Okay. Can you see hash code is printed? Yes. With this, what is the conclusion now? IOC container is started. It is performing eager loading and objects are created. When the objects are created by IOC, you can take the object from the IOC by using context dot get bean method. Now I got the car object. Once I got the car object, can I call drive method? Come on guys, can I call the drive method? Car is available. Let me call the drive method. Car dot drive. What is that? Car dot drive. So I'm starting my IOC container. I'm getting the object from the IOC. Then I am calling the method car dot drive. Run this Java application. Failed. Okay. Objects are created. But when I call the drive method, what happened? Because engine is null. That means objects are created, but dependency injection not implemented. Okay, just we are creating object for the classes, but dependency injection did not perform. IOC just created the object. IOC did not perform dependency injection. Can IOC perform dependency injection automatically? No. What we need to do? What we need to do? We need to tell to IOC to perform dependency injection. What is the target? What is the dependent? We need to provide that information to the IOC container. As a programmer, I know that car is dependent on the engine, but IOC don't know that. IOC will consider there are three Java classes available. For these three Java classes, I am responsible to create the objects created. That's it. IOC don't know to perform dependency injection. IOC don't know what is your target, what is your dependent. Who should give that information to IOC? Programmer. Programmer should tell to IOC to perform dependency injection. Are you clear? Now, here that dependency injection, nothing but injecting dependent object into target object. Now I want to perform setter injection. What I want to perform, guys? I want to perform setter injection. Tell me, what is a setter injection? Tell me, what is a setter injection? Injecting one class object into another class object through setter method. Injecting dependent object into target object using target class setter method is called as setter injection. Now, I need to tell to IOC container to call this setter method to inject the dependent object. Are you guys getting my point? I need to inform IOC. Hey IOC, you are going to create object for three classes. When you create object for three classes, you inject one engine object into car object. So engine is the dependent, car is target. So who will identify which is the target, which is the dependent? Programmer. Programmer should identify which is the target, which is dependent. Are you clear with my point, guys? Now, I need to tell to IOC container to perform setter injection. I need to tell to IOC container to perform setter injection. Okay. Here, guys, to perform setter injection in the car class setter method should be called. So, bean definition, inside this, we are going to write one tag called property. What is the tag, guys? Property. Property tag will represent setter injection. What is the tag we are writing? Property. Property name is equal to Which variable you want to initialize? What is the variable name? Engine is the variable name. Property name is equal to engine. What you want to initialize into that variable? One object. Ref is equal to P engine. That's it. Okay. I'm writing one property tag. What is the meaning of property tag? Property tag will represent setter injection. Property tag will represent setter injection. Okay. In our target class, there is a variable called eng variable. I want to initialize this variable by calling this a setter method. For this setter method, object is required as a parameter. What type of object? iEngine. What is iEngine? Interface. For that interface, implementation is available. So here, if you give ref is equal to PENG, what is the meaning of that? We are telling to IOC, hey IOC container, you create the object for petrol engine, you create the object for diesel engine, you create the object for car. Then you call the setter method of this variable by passing petrol engine object as a parameter. So ref is equal to bean ID. Which bean you want to inject into which bean? We are going to specify in the configuration. With this configuration, car will be called as a target and petrol engine is called as a dependent. So it is going to inject petrol engine object into car by using setter method. How IOC will understand? It should perform only setter injection property. How it will understand? It should perform only setter injection property tag. If I want to perform constructor injection, then we will write a tag called constructor -arg name is equal to eng. Name is equal to eng. Ref is equal to petrol engine or some diesel engine you can configure. Property tag will represent setter injection. Constructor arg represents constructor injection. Are you getting my point? Now, but currently I don't want it. I have commented. Currently I am writing only property. What is the meaning of property tag in the bean? What is the meaning of property tag inside the bean? Property tag will represent setter injection. What is name here? In the property tag, we have the name and we have the ref. What is the meaning of name? Variable. For which variable you want to call the setter method? What is the meaning of ref here? What is the meaning of ref here? Which bean you want to refer? Which dependent bean you want to take? Which bean you want to specify as a dependent? Suppose if I specify DENG here, then what will happen? Diesel engine object will be injected into car using setter method. Are you clear? Good. Fine. Now let us execute our application. Run as a Java application. What happened? What happened now? First, I'm starting the IOC container. After starting the IOC container, what is the logic I'm writing, guys? So I have a test class. Inside the test class, I have a main method. Inside the main method, I'm creating object for IOC container. I'm creating the object for IOC container. Once the object is created, it will follow eager loading. What is the meaning of eager loading? What is the meaning of eager loading? By default, it will create the object for all the bean classes. After that, I want to get a bean object. How to get the bean object from the IOC? How to get the bean object from the IOC? Context.getBean method. What is the meaning of context.getBean method? What is the meaning of context.getBean method? Which is used to get the object from the IOC container. After getting the object, I'm calling the drive method. So here, whenever you start the IOC container, then only dependency injection will happen. Can we see practically, is this setter method called or not? Can we see this setter method is calling or not? Yes. Let me write one system.out.println set engine method called. System.out.println set engine method called. Am I going to call that setter method? IOC container will call the setter method. IOC container will call the setter method. Now, when it will call, when that setter method will be called? When I call getBean method or when I start the IOC container? Remove this. Okay. What I am doing now? What I am doing now? I'm starting IOC container. Run as Java application. What is the meaning of that? What is the meaning of that? Objects created, setter method also called. What is the meaning of setter method called? What is the meaning of setter method called? 1 minute. 1 minute. Setter method got called system.out.println injected eng dot get class dot get name. So now I am just starting my IOC container, guys. I'm not doing anything now. I'm just starting my IOC container, run as Java application. So which bean object injected? Diesel engine object injected. So dependency injection completed or not completed? Dependency injection completed or not completed? Confidence is not there. Completed or not completed? How can you say dependency injection completed? Setter method call. What is this variable? Interface reference variable. That variable dot get class dot get name. That variable holding which class object? It is holding diesel engine object. What is the meaning of that? IOC container started. When I start that IOC container, it is loading the bean definitions. It created the objects. It performed a dependency injection. What type of dependency injection performed here? Setter injection. Why it is performing setter injection? Why not constructor injection? Why setter injection? Why not constructor injection? Because I am writing a property tag. Which dependent it is injecting? Diesel engine. Why it is injecting only diesel engine? Reference is equal to diesel engine. Suppose if I take PENG. Now go here, run this test class. Which object is injected? Petrol engine. Now tell me, dependency injection is happening when I call getBean method or when I start IOC container? When I start the IOC container, it is creating the object for the bean classes and it is performing the dependency injection also. Now look at the diagram. What inputs we are giving for the IOC? What inputs we are giving for the IOC? We are giving Java classes as an input and XML configuration as a input. Then what it is doing? It is giving the Spring Beans. What is the meaning of the Spring Bean? What is the meaning of Spring Bean? The Java class which is managed by IOC container. The Java class which is managed by IOC container is called as Spring Bean. Are you clear? Yes. Now I want to get the car object and I want to call the drive method. Can you tell me the code for that? Can you tell me the code for that? First. Sorry. Context dot get bean. What is the meaning of context dot get bean? To get the bean object. It is used to get the bean object. Once I got the bean object, it is ready to use. Spring Beans nothing but the classes which are managed by IOC container, they are ready to use. Okay. Object is created. Dependency injection also completed. You just need to call the method and you execute your logic. Inversion of control. Whatever the work that we are supposed to do, that work is doing by IOC container. So that's why it is called inversion of control. Run as Java application. Yes, objects created, setter injection completed, and drive method is executed. Drive method calling the engine start method. and our journey started. With this, our application is working as expected. IOC container is working as expected. It is performing dependency injection. Now, so if you go to our first application without Spring, if you go to first application, who created the object? Programmer. Who performed dependency injection? Programmer. But today, who is creating the object? IOC. Who is performing dependency injection? IOC container. Are you clear with my point? Yes. Any questions? Sorry? Yeah. It will not create the object. When you call getBean method, then it will create the object. Whenever you call the method. Whenever you call getBean, then it will perform the dependency injection. So that is the next concept, bean scopes. We'll talk about that. Utility classes, nothing but helper classes, which you can use in the project anywhere. Controller means a particular role is available for the controller. Utility means anything. You can write password utility. You can write email utility. You can write report utility. Utility nothing but generic. Utility means generic classes. Got it? Any questions? Offline people? Any questions on IOC container? Dependency injection? Able to understand? Online students? Method name can be anything. Method name can be anything. When to go for setter, when to go for constructor, we will discuss that. That is a debate. Which is better? Either constructor is better or setter is better. We have not covered that yet. We'll discuss that. How to see the code of IOC container? So that is a predefined class. You need to go to the predefined class like this. This is the code of the IOC container. So if you see class path XML application context, this is the predefined class given by the Spring, which is used to start the IOC container. This is just, we are calling the constructor. Press Control, click on the class name. You can go to that dot class file. Okay. So here it is calling this constructor. This here set config location, refresh, super constructor it is calling, super constructor it is calling. So lot of internal logic will be available when you are going for this internal code of the IOC container. Okay, so many classes they are using internally. If you want to see that code, control, go to this one. Or else, you know debugging, right? Sorry, that one. Decompiler. What is a decompiler? To convert bytecode into source code. So you can use the decompiler and you can check what are the classes available in the jar file and you can see that code. Okay, but that is the abstraction for the programmer. Do we really need to bother how IOC is starting, how it is creating the object, when it is creating the object? Do we need to bother about that? Simple. When you purchase a car, do you want to understand how the engine is starting, or you will just bother about engine started or not? Just engine started or not. That is important for the customer. Okay. But here, when you are using the Spring framework, what is important for us? Container started or not? Container creating the object or not? Container performing the dependency injection or not? How it is working internally? If you want to see, you can go to that source code given by the Spring framework. Got it? If you want to develop your own container, then you need to bother about that. But for us, it's not required. Already it is available. You can use that container to perform dependency injection in our application. Got it? Okay. Fine. How it is working, that we will understand. But what code is available internally in the IOC, that we can't discuss because so much logic will be available. What logic is there in that? But how it is working in the background, that functionality we can discuss. Okay. When it will create the object, how many objects it will create, that part we are going to learn. Got it? Any other questions for online people? Anybody having any other questions? You can type in the chat box. No questions? Very good. So with this, guys, we are able to develop our first application by using IOC container. With this knowledge, can you develop our second application by using IOC? This is our second application. Okay, I will share this screenshot. So today I want you people to practice car application development by using IOC container and payment application development by using IOC container. And tomorrow we don't have a class, guys. I have some work. Tomorrow I can't come for the class. We have the next class day after tomorrow. Friday we have the class. Tomorrow class is not there. Got my point? Good. So I want you to practice this car application with the IOC container as well as payment application also by using IOC container. As it is a first application, I'm going to share the code of this first application, how I have created that code. Okay, so this is iEngine one interface. But every day, don't expect the code from me. I want you to try the code on your own. I want you people to try that code on your own. Good. iEngine is available and diesel engine is available. Petrol engine is available. This is first application for your reference. I'm giving this code, but from second application onwards, after the class, you should be able to develop that code on your own. Got it? Now, this is my car class, which is a target. And we are having a test class. Beans XML is available. I'm giving this bean configuration XML file also. You know where to keep that configuration file. Where to keep that configuration file? In the resources folder, you need to keep that configuration file. So this is our test class to start the IOC container and to get the bean object and to call the method. Okay. So this is for reference. I'm giving the first application code, but from second application, I want you people to develop payment application screenshot. I will share. Based on that, you need to develop that project by using IOC container. Are you clear? Good. Fine. Yes, guys. I am done for today. We'll meet day after tomorrow. Thank you. Online students, any questions, anyone? Yeah. Anybody having question, you can unmute and you can ask me.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, very good morning.
Sir, can you provide any practice questions on strategies design pattern? Can you provide any practice questions on strategy design pattern and Spring course?
Yes, sir. First, you work on these two examples, sir. Going forward, we will give the tasks for you on that.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Guys, 1 minute. I'm uploading the notes in the portal. Yeah, guys, I have given the notes.
Yes, sir. I have one question. Can you open that code application context? You have created an object reference as a context. That context is mandatory for us.
So this reference variable can be anything, sir.
Okay. That was my question.
Reference variable can be anything. That's not mandatory.
Okay, sir.
Sir,
hello.
Application
Morning,
XML
sir.
name spring-beans.xml is that right, sir? That
Sorry,
name should be default
no,
name.
Name can be anything, sir. I told you. You can give abc.xml also.
Okay.
Name is not mandatory. Name is not important here. You can give any name for that XML file.
Okay. And other question is that we have in Spring 3.x we had the interface injection as well. Is it removed in?
We are going to discuss that also, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
How
which is
property
the
tag
target and which is the dependent class in that car engine project?
Can you come again, sir?
Sir, which is the target and which is the dependent class in the car engine project?
You need to question yourself, sir. Car will talk to engine or engine will talk to car?
Sir, if
car will talk to engine or engine will talk to car?
the car will talk to engine,
Then which is target?
then
Car is target. Car is dependent on the engine. Na? Car is target, engine is dependent.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sir, how property tag knows that set method, sir?
This is a Spring given tags now, sir. This is Spring given tag. Whenever you write property, they will understand that it is a setter injection.
But you didn't mention any set. We can change the name also, sir. Then how we identify if we change the
You
name?
need to follow the naming convention, sir. Setter method means whenever you write a variable, setter method means variable name. So we need to follow the syntax of the setter method. Set variable name. That is called setter method. If you change this method name now, then it will not perform the setter injection. Setter injection means that variable should follow the naming convention to write the setter method.
So set is compulsory.
Yeah, set is compulsory. That is setter injection. Java bean rules.
Okay.
So that reference variable is compulsory is ID name.
Which one?
Spring.xml XML file in that reference variable.
This variable name we need to give as a property name. Then only for this variable it will call the setter method. If you give wrong variable name, then it will not perform the dependency injection. It cannot identify the setter method.
Okay, so that reference variable is same as that bean ID name?
Not bean ID, property name.
Okay.
Variable name should be matched with the property name.
So that reference variable?
This is bean ID. Ref is equal to bean ID. Which bean you want to inject, that bean ID we need to give as a reference. Property name you need to give as a variable name. For which variable you want to call the setter method, that variable name you need to give as an input here.
Okay.
Sir, if the injected petrol engine, diesel engine is below the car, will any error or it will work?
Sir, you can't inject one at a time. You can inject only one. Suppose if you write property engine is equal to ref is equal to P engine and ref is equal to D engine, then so first it will inject petrol engine, that will inject diesel engine. It will overwrite that first value. Now you are reinitializing the same variable.
No. My question is, if that petrol engine is below the car tag, then
no problem, sir. If you write these things below also, because no problem, nothing will happen.
Yeah, that's fine.
Order is not important.
Ashok, my question is, I am trying with Java 13, so I'm getting a 17 is required.
Yes, sir. When you are going for Spring 6.x, Java 17 is required.
Okay, I'm trying with 13, so I'm getting a 6 to. Okay.
Yeah, Java 17 is required for that.
Below I can try it 13. 5.
Sorry, can you come again?
Version. No, below 6 versions, can I try with 13?
Yes, you can do that. Spring 5.x will support for Java 8 also.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Sir, one doubt. When we are performing the this one like lazy loading, so how we can ask to the IOC to give me the object at that particular
get bean method. When you call get bean method, it will give the object. It will create the object and it will give the object at that time.
Okay. Means dependency injection will happen at the time of container.
Whenever you call get bean. If it is lazy loading, when you call get bean, then only it will perform the dependency injection.
Okay. Before that, it won't perform.
No.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Guys, the images you can download from here. I will share in the WhatsApp group.
Sir, what is the... Oh, sorry, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, what is the difference between application context that you use here and annotation config application context?
Sir, when you are going for XML configuration file, then you will use a class path XML application context. When you go for annotations for the configuration, then you can use annotation config application context. That is, we are going to learn in the future.
Thanks.
Guys, class 1 minute. Class notes I have uploaded in the website. In the class notes at the end, I have mentioned the URL to download the images also. The images, whatever I am using in the project, in the class, those images also, the link available. You can access the diagrams from the below URL, which I mentioned in the class notes.
So how to get notes, sir? I mean,
did you complete your enrollment?
Yes.
Yeah, if you complete your enrollment, if you log in into our website, then you can access the class notes. Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, hi.
Sir, in configuration file, can you open that configuration?
Yes. Yes, sir. Tell me. I can't hear you, sir.
Open the configuration file, sir. SpringBoot configuration file.
Yeah, I have opened that only.
Sir, in this, what is this, sir? HTTP dot sir schema beans XSD,
sir, that is
XSD schema
for
location.
That is a XML schema, sir. That is XML schema.
So what are these, sir? XML version 1 point encoding beans.
You don't need to.
Sir, after that HTTP XML beans
No. That is
So
what
these
I'm
things
telling
are
you.
not being asked in interview, sir?
No, they don't ask you. That is that will tell you the structure of the XML, what you need to follow. You don't need to worry about that.
Sir, I pinged you something in
my
the
data
message.
is, if you see spring beans.xsd, so XML file also should be same name, spring dash beans.
No, not, sir. I told you multiple times. File name can be anything. You can keep the file name as abc.xml also. File name, whatever the configuration file we are writing, that name can be anything. You can change that name. That's not important.
Sir, I pinged you something in the chat. So that is how we are, I think that is how we are enabling the IOC container. But we are using annotations, right? But you said we
Sir, whatever
will...
the code you sent Pramod, right? That is
Yes, sir.
SpringBoot, sir. Currently,
Oh, okay.
we are working with Spring.
Yeah. Yeah, sure, sir. Thanks.
Sir, in that
Eclipse should we download, sir?
Sorry?
And Java. Sir, which version of Eclipse should we download?
You can use anything, sir.
Sir, actually, in that main resources, that if you go to new and that other, so I'm not able to find that XML, sir.
Maybe your XML is not supporting. Further, download the latest Eclipse, which supports for XML.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So we define that property tag in that configuration file. Still, it is required to create the setter in our respective classes.
No. It is used to call the setter, not to create that.
So in our class, car class, we define the setter, right? And in the configuration file, we are defining the property tag also. So like how it is relating.
Property tag, we are referring to call that setter method. Okay, it is not to create the setter. It is used to call the setter method, which is available in the class.
Okay, so that means like we have to define the setter method in the car class. Then only it will call.
Yes, correct. You have to define the setter method in your class. Then you need to specify the property. Then it will call that setter method.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sir, which version are you using? This one, Eclipse?
Eclipse, 1 minute. So I'm not sure, sir. I will check and let you know. I have downloaded from internet directly. About Eclipse IDE.
I also did the same thing only, sir. Download.
Yeah, you can see that I'm using Eclipse IDE Java Enterprise Developer version 4.29. So you can take the screenshot.
Okay,
this is my Eclipse.
Yeah.
I'm using.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, after completing this training, can I put 4 years or 5 years experience in resume?
Along with this training, you need to attend one more training batch, that is Java real-time project. If you attend both, then you can keep 3 to 4 years of experience.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Because here we are learning the SpringBoot microservices concepts with the small applications. Once you go for the Java project batch, you will learn 20 plus real-time tools with AWS Cloud, front-end, back-end development with microservices, and the real-time project we are going to learn.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you.
Okay, cool. Fine, guys. Thank you. With this, I'm stopping for today.
Ashok,
yeah, hi.
Hello, good morning.
Very
I have
good
one question regarding the lazy loading and the eager loading.
Correct.
In the real-time application, which is the best option, or on which situation we have to use which
sir,
one?
that depends upon the scope of the bean. The next concept we are going to talk about, what is bean scope. One singleton prototype bean scopes are available. In the bean scopes concept, we are going to understand that.
Okay.
Sir, actually, I tried
Thank you.
2 or 3 times for Eclipse, but I'm unable to download and
I will
install.
share a link in the WhatsApp group today so that you can download from there.
Is it okay to work in IntelliJ also?
No problem. You can use that also.
Hello,
Good.
sir.
Hi.
Sir, actually, in SpringBoot, like real-time project batch, you said you are also using Angular, right?
Correct.
But like I want to apply as a Java backend developer, like how it is useful for me if I join that course?
Sir, if you want to apply as a backend developer, absolutely you can apply that. If you know the Angular, that is the added advantage for you, na?
So if I join, like I can ignore Angular part and
Yes. Angular it will take only 2 weeks to learn the Angular, sir. If you add that Angular in your resume, it will have more weightage for your resume, na?
Okay.
Knowing the extra skill is always an advantage.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Good. Fine, guys. Thank you. With this, I'm stopping for today. We'll meet again day after tomorrow. Until then, please practice our examples by using IOC container. Okay. Good. Thank you, guys. We'll see you day after tomorrow.